Because you guys did like the first story from this so much, and there's so many good ones in here, I do want to make this a series. As a reminder, this is Liz Wiseman's book, Impact Players, and she interviewed 180 senior level executives and asked, who are your top performers and what are they doing differently? The first chapter really talks about what an impact player is, and these are the people that see things through an opportunity versus a threat lens. From the feedback she received, impact players are considered to be 2 to 3 more times valuable than the standard contributor. My favorite story from this chapter is about Monica Padman. So she played an on-screen assistant to Kristen Bell, and because Kristen Bell had young children at the time, she offered to do some babysitting whenever she needed it. And that babysitting job kind of turned into an actual assistant job. Kristen Bell, Dax Shepard said, hey, you're so helpful to our family. Can you come actually work for us? And she wanted to be an actress at the time. And she's like, I don't know if I really want to take a step back or pause my career. But what ended up happening, because she was so good at what she was doing as an executive assistant, is that Dax Shepard and her would have these conversations and they would kind of banter back and forth. And that's literally how Armchair Expert came about. This just shows impact players are not only valuable to the people that they're actually helping, but they are able to advance so much faster and skip over so many different steps because they put themselves in these positions where they are chosen to get ahead. Chapter 2 is called Make Yourself Useful, and this is really about finding what she calls the win, what's important now. You need to identify what is most important to your organization, what is most important to your boss, and then make sure whatever you're doing day to day is in line with that. So she's basically saying, whatever you're doing, make sure it's actually important to what the company and your boss is focused on. If you can't tie it to one of those key points, you really shouldn't be focused on it, or you should reprioritize what you're doing. Again, this seems obvious, but it's just nice to have a little reminder of what people are doing. The third chapter is called Step Up and Step Back. So this is really talking about identifying the problems that nobody wants to solve and then actually addressing them. These are the problems where there's really no owner, or it's a bigger problem. There are all these workarounds that are helping it right now, but what is the root of the problem, and actually solving and addressing that without being asked. An example from this in the book is that Liz has this training program that she's helping to create through Oracle, and she realizes that they need to realign on the strategy so she can actually communicate it to the leaders that are going through this training program. She pulls in the different heads of product and the president, etc., to recreate this strategy. So the meeting is set to discuss this with those senior leaders, and she's notified that it's going to happen the next week. So in the book, she goes, I wrote down in my diary that that meeting was going to happen the next week, not because it was an FYI to myself, but because I was going to join it. I read that and I was like, oh my God, Liz, what? You're going to go sit in this meeting that you weren't invited to with senior leaders? Yeah, she did. She showed up there early. She sat down with her pen and paper and was ready to contribute to the meeting. Of course, these people walk in, they're like, you're not invited to the meeting. And she goes, listen, I know the leaders. I'm going to need to communicate this strategy, and I actually think I could be really helpful here. So I've invited myself to this meeting. And then the president was like, we're good with that. So she ends up participating in the meeting, keeping them on track. And then she ends up actually writing the vision statement, which she says is a highlight of her career. I just thought that story was so wild, but it's like she literally created a seat for herself at the table. She's very mindful in the sense that she says, don't invite yourself to every meeting. It has to be something that you can actually contribute value to, but you need to put yourself in the seat to be seen and contribute. And I just thought that was another very, very good point.